Knock knock.
Who's there?
Attila.
Attila who?
Attila, you another joke. Hey, welcome to A View from the Yard presents
This Day in Sports.
Today is October the 12th, and we're going to tell you a whole bunch of fun stuff that happened today in sports. But before we do that, we need to tell them how to get in touch with us, right?
Yep.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and tell them how they can get in touch with us. What are they going to do?
You can either go to Snapchat, which is A View from the Yard.
Snapchat, View from the Yard.
Facebook, which is also View from the Yard.
Nope.
No,
Facebook.
Facebook is View Yard.
View Yard, it says it right here. If he could read that, he would know.
Twitter is View from the Yard.
View from the Yard on Twitter, that's right. So you can follow us Twitter, Snapchat, or Facebook. Check us out on any one of those three. As well as, what is this fine program being shown on?
Subscribe down below, hit that red button, turn on some post notifications to find out when we make a new video, and hit that like button and comment down below the question of the day. We'll say it later in the video, so make sure to watch the whole thing.
We don't even know when the question of the day is coming. It just comes out of nowhere. It's amazing. All right, so here we go. In news today, we're going to start way back in 1907. The Chicago Cubs beat the Detroit Tigers 4-0 in the fourth World Series, and this series also took 5 games to happen because the very first game of the series went to 12 innings and was stopped due to darkness. It was the very first World Series that was ended in a tie due to darkness. Yesterday, rewind back to yesterday's show, we talked about another day that ended in a tie. That one was much more controversial. Jumping ahead to 1916, the Boston Red Sox beat the Brooklyn Dodgers, who were still officially called the Robins. Did you know that? That they were the Robins? Yes. The Brooklyn Dodgers were originally called the Robins. We learned that when we were in Los Angeles visiting and taking a tour of the LA Dodgers. They talked all about how they got the nickname the Dodgers. Maybe we'll get into that later. They beat them 4-1 in the 13th World Series. This series had the longest game in terms of innings. Anybody want to take a guess? Should that be the question of the day?
Yeah, that, and tell us down below if you know why they're called the Dodgers.
Oh, that's good. Double, 2 for Tuesday, even though it's a Thursday. 2 questions of the day for you, both related to this topic right here.
And if you comment down below and you get the answer correct, then you have a chance of getting a shout out in next video.
Shout out in our next video, or at some point after you make that comment, we'll throw a shout out to you for getting the question of the day correct. So here are the 2 questions. Question number 1, why and how did the Dodgers get the nickname the Dodgers? And the second question, the 1916 World Series, the series had the longest game in innings. So how many innings did that game go until the Game 3 of the 2005 World Series? That game went longer. But the game in the 1916 World Series, how long did the longest game go?
Twice as many tries to get a shout out.
That's right. So answer below and get a shout out. What? Jumping ahead a little bit further to 1920, Cleveland Indians beat the Brooklyn Dodgers again, 5-2 in the 17th World Series. This will be the last World Series until 1980, when the Phillies were in the World Series, to feature 2 franchises that had not previously won a World Series. So all the way up to 1980, 60 years later. 1929, the Cubbies. Everybody loves the Cubbies. The Cubbies blow an 8-0 World Series lead. The A's scored 10 runs in 1 inning to catch up and win that game. Center fielder Hack Wilson lost Mule Haas fly ball in the sun for a fluke 3-run inside the park home run. Follow that? Bringing the A's to within 1 run at 8-7. It was the last occurrence of an inside-the-park home run in a World Series game until Game 1 of the 2015 World Series. So that turned it all around for the A's, and they beat the Cubs in that game. 1967, the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Boston Red Sox 4-3 in the 64th World Series as Lou Brock steals 3 bases in Game 7 to set a record 7 stolen bases in one World Series. This was a rematch of the 1946 World Series, with the Cardinals winning in 7 games for their second championship in 4 years and their 8th overall championship. That was all that happened in 1967. And my last fact for the day for you, until I hand it over to Trey over here with the last few facts and some birthdays, is in 1982, Milwaukee Brewers' Paul Molitor gets World Series record 5 hits and 2 RBIs in the Suds Series in one game. In the Suds Series, the series was called the Suds Series due to both teams' relationship to beer. The Brewers are named after a brewery, and St. Louis Cardinals play in Busch Stadium, which is owned by a brewery as well. So the 1982 World Series, they called it the Suds Series. That's all I have for you. Trey's got 2 more good facts, and then the birthdays.
So, in 1986, the California Angels were within 1 pitch of pennant victory when they lost to the Red Sox. The Angels went on to lose Game 5 in 11 innings and eventually lost the next 2 games and the series. In 2016, Austin Matthews became the first player to score 4 goals in his NHL debut for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Ottawa Senators. Previously, Joe Malone and Harry Hyland scored 5 goals each in their NHL debuts on December 19, 1917, the first game in the history of the NHL. Birthdays! If today's your birthday, well, happy
birthday to you!
You share your birthday with these people. We have a lot of people today. 1905, Rick Farrell. 1906, Joe Cronin. 1910, Bob Shepard. 1936, Tony Kubek. 1962, Sid Fernandez. 1968, Leon Lett. NFL defense tackle in the Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys. 1968, Mike Tromboli. 1969, Jose Valentin. 1970, Tanyan Sturtz.
Sounds good to me.
And in 1971, Tony Fior.
Fior? Sure, why not?
Fior.
If we butchered your name, sorry about that. Leave a message down below and tell us how to actually say your name. We're trying our best here.
Yeah. Well, that's all the birthdays. So if you share a birthday with these people, pretty cool.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of our show for today. So before we go, once again, tell the fine folks at home how they can get in touch with us.
Follow us on Snapchat at View From The Yard, on Facebook at View Yard, and on Twitter at View From The Yard. So you get behind-the-scenes looks on Snapchat and some facts on Facebook and Twitter.
And you can watch these videos on any one of them as well as YouTube anytime you want. So, from all of us here, including our camera girl, Cameron.
Hi.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.